Hello, OMGers. Russell Wright from NetworkEmpire.com and ThemeZoom.com. And I'm here with ThemeZoom and Network Empire CEO, Sue Bell. And she's also our software architect and the marketing dominatrix and all kinds of other crazy stuff that we have going on around here. She's pretty much the big brain behind the operation. So, Sue, thanks for joining us today.
Hey, thanks for having me, Russell.
So we're just gonna, what you and I agree to do is we've gotten so many questions from the OMGer group. We've got questions inside the Yahoo OMGers group. And so since your time is so valuable, I was able to pull you aside and you agreed that we would just kind of answer these en masse as best we could.
Absolutely.
Okay,
Yep.
cool. Everybody, I wanted to let you know, watching this who maybe hasn't caught up in the OMG group, in the Facebook area, that we did release Sue's recent video that explains very carefully the difference between the old Google keyword tool and the recent keyword planner changes, which we're also implementing on our keyword tools. And this is a fantastic video that really will give you very quick insight into what's going on. So thanks for doing that one, Sue. You can see we've got great video on short notice. People are liking it.
Excellent.
See that?
So,
Do you have
yeah.
anything you want to add about that right now as we're just passing by, or?
The only thing I'd say is I think that the changes overall that Google's done are great. I'm
Mhm.
much happier with the data in the database, and so I think it's going to prove to provide better data for guys as they're making their websites.
Excellent. Okay. Yeah. And just if you guys get a chance, watch that video. It's really cool. And we'll also give you a little insight into some of the major changes and cool changes that, correct me if I'm wrong, Sue, but that we're making to Kraken and TLKT and everything else,
Yes,
which we
absolutely.
can't talk about here. Um, okay, let's go ahead and scroll down and look at a few other things. Now, we can't answer all of these, so we're going to stick with our core focus, although there's a lot of the things that we want to answer because we can help, but we're not going to do that today. So we're going to go down to a great post by Rosie Cotis. I hope I pronounced your name correctly, Rosie. If I didn't, I'm sorry. And this one, you guys can look at it. It's a suggestion by Greg that we cover this site structure. It's a fairly complex site structure, and I have talked to Sue about this. And essentially, Sue, she says that she has a site of toy reviews, and she's attached to some thumbnails on the sidebar with her relevant posts and her recent posts, and probably either a theme or a widget that she's looking. And she's also, of course, second guessed herself on the silo structure.
Right.
What's your initial impact after having already read this, besides the fact that probably consulting might be good for her, which we do have, and we've talked to Mike and Dave and crew about that, which will, so if you're interested in that, on really big projects or complex projects, we are available for that. So, but what would you say, just like in passing, on quick burn on that?
Well, okay, so there's two things. One, where you already have a site where you're making money,
Hmm.
I'm hesitant to do anything that disturbs making money, right?
Right.
So your idea about starting on another site, I think, is a good one.
Hmm.
And then your problem in terms of letting go of the thumbnails, I agree with you completely. We've been working with a plugin just to kind of the get it to be a solid product first, and now I'm ready to add thumbnails into the site as well. We were
Yep.
just chatting about a couple of different formats and
Hmm.
looking at different options, and I think that that would be absolutely great.
Yep. And exactly. And Rosie, you're right to be attracted to the thumbnails. It makes the site
Absolutely.
look prettier. Um, and then, of course, I guess you didn't want me to show that example of the site that you're working on. But yeah, the thumbnails look great, and they're great for neural marketing, that is responsive marketing, and you do want them. And so that is going to be an addition coming up.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else that you want to say on that one?
It's just that it's great for clickability. I mean, it's
Hmm.
really, yeah,
Yeah, you
images are
want you want to
everything.
draw those clicks, and nothing does it like images, right, Sue?
Yeah,
Okay,
exactly.
we've seen that again and again. Okay, so let's go ahead and go down. Also wanted to address this post that I made here. If you haven't received an exclusive OMG invite, the Kraken Automagic Blueprint, plus the vertical online market analysis tool, don't forget to go ahead and Facebook me if you're in this environment, and if you're in Yahoo groups. You can also email me at russell@themezoom.com. We've had a lot of people question this. I just wanted to do this while Sue was here. I think it's useful because I think it was who asked me that. There's been some confusion about Carlos asked, Russell, I've been watching the V Silos video located on the purchasing landing page. Are there more training videos? So I provided everybody with training videos, and you can see that um, I'll go ahead and drop it with this video as well. We've got a location on themezoomglossary.com under K. You can just click this link and it's got the Kraken Automatic Silo Blueprint video step-by-step tutorial. And this is a quick burn tutorial. What that means is if you did nothing else except what I mentioned in under 30 clicks, you could theoretically spit out your Kraken Silo Blueprint pretty easily, okay, without overthinking it and just following what it is that you need to do. Also, without getting caught up in the details of maybe an agency level training that Sue and I offer
Right.
and certification. That's the main thing. This is the bare minimum requirement. And you know what? We've had tons of beginners and intermediate folks pull that off. It's less than 30 clicks, and you'll really start getting a feel and make the most of the Silo Kraken Blueprint tokens that you purchased and this type of stuff. Okay. Yeah, so let's go ahead and just leave it at that. So it's not a selling platform or anything. Let's go down to one other thing that I wanted you to look at, Sue, in here, and then we'll go over to the Yahoo area.
Okay.
Okay, let me go ahead and find Chris Morris. Yeah, Chris asked a really great question, and it's quite technical. I think Greg asked this question in the Webby with Russell, but it's really bothering me. When I look at this URL, I have a product name exact match domain site. And in my silo, I use the product name, and my pages on my URLs are looking like this. And you can see that
Right.
pretty clearly, see?
Yep.
Or it's like productnamesite.com/product name review /product name download / right?
Right.
And he says,
Product name.
yeah, right. He says, I'm really afraid, like really afraid, and this is way too much this is way too much optimization, and I don't know what to do. Russell or Greg, can you guys chime in here and let me know what is the best for an exact match domain like this when your silos keywords are matching like this? And just so you know my answer, Sue, so you can correct it or throw it off the island if it's not
Okay.
accurate. The other method we were talking about, that's where I brought up virtual silos.
Mm-hmm.
I said, my first comment to Chris was, oh yeah, there was no other comment. It was like the other method is called virtual silos, and we talk about that. Actually, you talk about that on the website Silo Architecture glossary page.
Mm-hmm.
This plugin does not create those, and they are far less effective. That's what you told me.
Right.
And you are not optimizing to game as much as you are speaking the correct language of the machine world when you build website Silo Architecture. If you call talking extra good English over optimizing, then yes, you are guilty. I was using a metaphor for language, right?
Right.
It's like the correct way to speak to the search engines,
Right.
but you will not be penalized for talking extra good English. So again, a lot of the fear, Sue, is coming from over optimization, which I would love you to speak to, and also correct me if I'm wrong so I can adjust this. And maybe you could just address your thoughts on that.
Sure. So there's a whole host of thoughts there.
Good, go for it.
I'm a firm believer that if you use your keywords naturally, that you're not going to get yourself in a penalization position. If you're one of the people who enjoys testing the search engine and pushing those limits, then silo structures offer an incredible ability because they naturally enhance the way that you use keywords. If you're prone to stuffing, if stuffing is something that you've done for a long time and you ride that edge, silo structures can easily put you over that edge. But if you're speaking naturally, if you're creating pages naturally, if you're doing everything from a natural perspective, it's really hard to over-optimize your pages. I've not found anybody let me phrase it this way. The guys that I find that run into over-optimization penalties are the ones that push it. They know
Right.
they push it. They know that they're keyword stuffing. They got their 5 keywords that they're using in a whole big old site. And so, it becomes really obvious to everybody, including the search engines, that they're keyword stuffing. I probably personally wouldn't use the same keyword more than a couple of times in a URL string.
That's what he says, right? That's what Greg is saying down here.
Yeah.
Greg Morrison.
And the thing that we've always talked about in ThemeZoom is synonyms. Like,
Pure
is
diversity.
there another way that you can express your product name or express the idea that your product name has so that you can substitute that or you can change it around even just a little bit helps. It doesn't have to be pure diverse, it can be partially diverse, but the more you change it up, it does two things. It helps you rank for more keywords because you've got keyword diversity there, and then it keeps you from doing this over optimization thing.
So
So,
if we were to do an example, Sue, here, and you just tell me if I'm wrong, if it was like what bicycle site,
okay.
okay, and it would be bicycle name review, and but isn't if it was the kind of bicycle, wouldn't that be a diverse synonym? I mean, because that's not the exact. If it contained bicycle in it, is that still a problem, or should it be like bikes?
Well, okay, so let's say you've got Schwinn. Let's just take, because he's talking about a particular brand name, right?
Yep.
So you've got Schwinn.com and you've got Schwinn, um,
Reviews.
um, but give me a particular kind of a Schwinn bike, like a,
Schwinn mountain bike.
okay, so you've got Schwinn.com, Schwinn mountain bike
Hmm.
review, and
Should be
then
there.
Schwinn mountain bike download, right?
Okay. Or pickup, something like that.
Yeah,
Delivery.
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 And
Okay.
so, um, so you've got Schwinn in there three different times, but it's also the name of your company. So, like, what are they going to penalize you for in that regard?
Hmm.
But if you're actually targeting a money word that's, got $5 a click, something like that, $10 a click, $20 a click, then they start to get really sensitive about it. So if it's your actual brand, I'm not nearly so worried about it appearing three times in a URL string as I am if it's a high pay-per-click keyword. So if you're looking at, I'm just trying to think of a different example that's got a really high pay-per-click. But if let's say that you've got some kind of lawyers, because the lawyer market is in particularly high in keyword, and
Okay.
so
So if
if
you were like, what do they call ambulance chasers? Like,
exactly, I was trying
okay.
to think of a better word.
Okay.
Um,
What about like trust law?
sure.
Okay. So give me an example.
So if you've got trustlaw.com, where you're looking
Hmm.
at an exact match domain,
Hmm.
and then your next thing is trust law lawyers,
Okay.
something along those lines.
Hmm.
And then you're going to say like trust law.
Attorneys or
Yeah, well, attorneys, then see, that's starting
that
to
would
do a
be
diverse thing,
that
right?
would
So,
be here. Yeah.
yeah, it can be anywhere. I really
Right.
don't care whether it's in the middle or in the end, but
In the
it,
content.
right. So you might find a synonym for trust law as well as for lawyers. And so you might mix it up that way so that that exact phrase only appears once in the URL, and
Hmm.
yet the keyword, each one of those keywords can actually appear two or three times.
Yep. Gotcha. So we covered this really early on with Theme Zoom, guys, where we have pure diverse, partial diverse, and just mixing things up. Greg talks about it as mixing things up to his students as well. So and he is accurate that I don't know when he said they here if he was talking about us recommending no more than twice URL. He must have been looking at some of our training, but yeah, that's
Yeah.
definitely what you want to do. And he's got some stuff here: topics, could view, review, diet plan, scam, etc. You could change different topics, and okay, that's good enough. And we won't get much into virtual styling for the beginner. I can just tell you this: those of you who love geekdom, and there's quite a few in here actually, surprisingly, in the Yahoo groups that we're going to go into next, Sue.
Hmm.
With virtual stuff, we will on future webinars and inside of our own training and inside Mike and Dave's training, if there's a call for it, we will talk about gigantic mega sites and the difference because Sue and I have worked on a lot of them. And that's when you're dealing with giant e-commerce sites, don't get us started. So it's just one of those things that we're not going to do on this video today. Okay, but you can look at all that stuff. All right. So the next place we would go, Sue, are you done with that thought or did I interrupt
Yep.
you?
No, we're
Okay.
good.
The next place we're going to go is over into the Endgame Yahoo groups.
Okay.
And I'm just going to pause for a second while we get ourselves together over there.
Cool.
Okay, Sue, here's another question that's inside the OMG Endgame Yahoo group. Silo structure keyword question. And I love this question, but I also wanted to bring you in on it because it's such a deep issue for beginners, intermediates starting out, where they get lost in the forest with the trees trying to come up with a perfect website silo
Exactly.
architecture, like the $1 billion keyword, right?
Yep.
And the $1 million perfected, like signed off by Matt Cutts himself or by the Google bot himself, right?
Right.
Um, so I have my silo mapped out and ready to roll. Let me just pull up the toolbar here. Hang on a second. So I have my silo mapped out and ready to roll. I have content, videos, and all the stuff I need to fill up the pages, but I'm unsure about what to do with the titles.
Right.
Obviously, my silos and titles are keywords I want to rank for. They're not persuasive by any means. Should I structure the silo with just a simple target keyword phrase, or should I use a catchy title a catchy title with the phrase in it? Will there be a difference in ranking between the two styles? An example, he talks about his example
Yep.
here. City plumbing, target keyword title, city plumbing versus catchy title, best city plumbing.
Yep.
Okay. So this is kind of an interesting question, and the reason that I enjoy this question is it ties into something that I created for my video website silo architecture course called Persuasion architecture. Sue and I co-developed this concept because one of the things that we discovered is that website silo architecture, I've pretty much said it really clearly right here. The problem with website silo architecture is that it's extremely technical. Because of this, technicians tend to overthink the SEO process and forget the selling purpose of a website. And of course, with our training and everything we do in our stackable system, we make sure that you don't do that, right, Sue?
Right.
So could you weigh in on this and like just talk about
Absolutely.
it for a minute? Okay, cool.
Absolutely. So that's one of the reasons why in the advanced section in our plugin,
Hmm.
which you have to click on for that to drop open, you've got the options for having the keyword in the URL string or the title in the URL string.
Let's open up
Okay?
the plugin and you can show me exactly what I mean, okay? Let me
Okay.
pause for a second. All right, you guys, so what I've done is I've gone to a total demo site. This is like our test site. And we've gone to the Video Silo Builder plugin on the sidebar. It's up here at the v-silo, you guys probably know. But there's a really important function that Sue's going to show us next called Advanced Silo Settings. And it's super important. And if you're not looking for it, you're not even going to know it's there. So go down. First, you're going to click on Silo Importer, and you're going to click Advanced Silo Settings. I'll
Yep.
let you take it
So
from here, Sue.
so this option I mean, this is obvious here in this section where you've got the ability to set it up because you're importing a bunch of pages. The manual site's just a little bit different. But here you can specify, if you drop down on one of those drop downs, Russ, you'll see that
Sure.
there's three different options. You got your primary keyword, you've got your page title, and you've got your article headline. Okay, so you've got the opportunity in Domain Web Studio / Network Empire Builder to enter all three of these things in different fields. And so here you've got the opportunity to pick which one you want to have in each one of these different areas. So you can have your title in your title, you can have the article headline in your title, and then for the slug, you can have the keyword or you can have the longer phrase. Now, here's the thing. If you've created this absolutely fantastic but 12-word title, you might not want that in your menu structure.
Gotcha.
Right? So that gets a little bit gangly. So this gives you the opportunity to keep your URL string more focused on your keywords and to keep your menu structure a little bit more focused on your keywords. Now, there are other sites where you've got very similar keywords throughout the entire site. They're just variations on a theme because it's a niche, right? And
Yep.
so under those conditions, you need to be able to let people know what the differences are on the menu items, right?
Correct.
So one's going to be best plumbers, another one's going to be discount plumbers, another one's going to be, right? So they've all got like plumber, 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 but you've got different ideas there, but they're not part of your keyword, they're just part of your
Exactly.
titles. So in that case, you're going to pick the actual title or the
Exactly.
headline, whichever one works better for you.
Right.
So from an SEO perspective, both your title and the slug should contain the keyword, right?
Yes.
If they have the keyword in both of those places, you get extra kudos points and you're going to rank better.
Say that again, Sue, for the beginners listening. There's a lot of them. Say it
Okay.
again and crack your whip.
All right.
Sorry,
So the ideal thing is that you have your keyword as the slug as part of the URL string, and you have it in your title. You want those two things to match. You're going to
Yep.
rank a whole lot more effectively when those two things match. But obviously, you want your title, even if it's not part of the URL string, you want your title to be very engaging because your title shows up your headline, I should say, right, shows up in the SERPs page. And if you've got your blog set to auto tweet and auto go to Facebook and all those kinds of things, you want that to all be engaging as well.
Yep.
So this is that place, like what you were saying. This is where it goes from being technical to being an art form.
Yep.
And when we do a manual import, what's going to happen is you're going to put your keyword in. Typically, you put your keyword in. You put whatever you want the slug to be
Yep.
into the manual aspect of the builder. But then you can go back as you add your content to your page. You can make the headline on your page more engaging.
So, for example, under personal investments, I would go back and make a headline or change the title and just write a compelling. We call this the painkiller article method, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, and we teach that in a advanced course, folks. We have a stackable system in which we show you how to build everything from the ground up, including your persuasion architecture. So we don't leave anything to chance. We show you how to build that all from the ground up. And but you can just really just write it in there and follow Mike Long's guides and Greg's guides on how to use compelling titles. And I mean, he's one of the best copywriters around. And all that stuff comes into play on the persuasion architecture side.
Yep.
And all you really got to know is what Sue just showed you. And if you're bulk importing, use your advanced setting and make that decision in advance, especially if you got 20 silo landing pages with a total of 100 articles you're importing in one smack.
Right.
And then you can just do it right on the way in. And in fact, some of our upstream services, you can even create the content in those services, okay? Including a private label version we're building for the OMG guys. So that's really, really cool. And hopefully that answers that question in this area. And Sue, I really appreciate that. It's such an important thing that I didn't really want to downplay it at all, because I'm trying to go through all these OMG questions, and sometimes it's just good to come back and get a little bit more specific about it.
There's one other thing I want to point out
Yes.
in terms of asking about, should I use a catchy title and how does that impact my SEO?
Right.
And I just want to say, like, when you use a catchy title, you're going to get more click-throughs because that catchy title shows up on the SERPs. And when you get more click-throughs, Google rewards you by moving you further up the SERPs.
Precisely. In fact, let's go ahead and just real quick. So what I wanted to show you guys is that a lot of the confusion comes from not having a stacked system where you don't understand what comes next. And this is what we call the perpetual lead magnet machine. And it's all about building website silo structures from the correct order up. But what I want to show you is create an ADNA and VDNA. In other words, your articles. When you get to your articles, the article headlines are so incredibly important for conversion. Okay, because if you've actually answered the questions, and Mike and I have already discussed some other applications that we're going to roll out later on, including our Pain Finder app and everything else. If you start with the questions and you're solving the pains in the market, as you begin to stack, then you have your keyword research, and then you prepare your silo structures, and then you write the persuasion articles on there. Okay. When you do that, you're going to have the ultimate headlines if you follow a method called the painkiller article method, because those headlines convert 1,000 times better than just a keyword or a headline that doesn't speak to the pain in the market. And guess what? You can do all of this even though you've got a website silo architecture. Even though if you think about this in this order, then you don't get caught in the forest with the trees, just trying to create a technical infrastructure where you might get this left side done really, really well, but you forget about engagement engagement conversion architecture, which is the right side. So most people are dead on this side and really good on this side, or really good on this side and dead on this side. You almost never find somebody right in here. You can have a really, really good copywriter who has an awesome affiliate who's got 50,000 people as in downline, and he's making money, right? That's great. But if you go to their site, like, they're dead in the water when it comes to rankings, except for maybe 5 or 10 pages, right, Sue?
Right.
And if you got this over here, you have an awesome authority site. The persuasion on the pages are not necessarily that great, okay? Or they might be. But the point is that we want you to have both, and there's a step-by-step system in which you are able to do that. Because on the next one, you got to finalize the headlines. In our later system, it's the headlines that matter. Because when you start driving headlines, both socially through natural sharing, and through automation processes through all the social media sites where headlines and press releases and all these things start to matter, we've noticed a massive increase in click-throughs because you've got that painkiller.
Exactly.
Okay? So when you do your articles right, later that's going to hit you on the rankings, and of course, obviously on the search engines, if the description is compelling, you're going to get higher clicks. So I won't beat that dead horse, but just wanted to show you guys how why that's so cool now that you have this inside the silo. You can have the best of both worlds. And speaking back to the question, um, you've asked a great question, Nick.
Yep.
And keep in mind that that question, when you answer the answer to that question, took us 5 years of developing a system like the stackable one we just showed you. And so
Exactly.
it's a great question. So don't think that any question is too dumb. It's nothing like that. It's really, really clear. Okay.
In fact, let me just elaborate a little bit further on that
Sure.
idea.
Hmm.
Um, I can appreciate, like, when we put out a product like the Silo plugin, that the people who are going to be attracted to that the most are going to be the ones that are very technically oriented.
Right.
And these are the people who tend to be overly concerned with search engine optimization and driving traffic through the search engines. And while that's important and it's great, it shouldn't be your only focus. Okay, so I strive for having my traffic come in thirds. Like, a third should be from all of your search engines, a third should be from all of your social media, and a third should be direct traffic, meaning you've got an emailing list and you're mailing out to people. You've got guys who are following you, right? And
Precisely.
so, I mean, obviously, it's going to be a little bit different depending on what market you're in. I've got some of my markets are very, very socially heavy, and heaps and heaps of traffic comes in off of Pinterest, and
Yep.
very little, like, compared to that, the search engine traffic dribbles in
Yep.
because it's just such an intensely social market.
Right.
So, but it's like, in my mind, I have this pie and I want to diversify. Diversification is the key thing in my mind, because if Google goes away tomorrow, if Google decides suddenly that, something I've done on my site is just not within what they think is good, and they drop my site off the search engine, I don't want to be out of business.
That's right.
So
And we
I want
wouldn't be the way that our
to, no,
sites are set up, Sue, right? We would
exactly.
like, we have so much social. And what's interesting about what you just said is that if we do that thirds model, we should make a pie. Like, that's awesome.
Yeah, we
That's a
should.
great graph, especially for the OMGers, because what we've found out, and actually you've taught me, is that when we keep the thirds balanced, everything grows and the thirds just grow. Like the pie just gets bigger,
Exactly.
but it's still in thirds because they work together synergistically.
Hmm.
Awesome. Well, you just inspired me to create some. We should do that.
All right.
All right. Well, this has almost been a half an hour. I think this is enough.
Yeah.
And we just wanted to do this courtesy for Mike Long, Dave Mills, and Greg Morrison. OMGers, you guys are awesome. And we have a lot of really cool things going on. New update rolling out tonight on Kraken Blueprints. And we're excited about totally everything. And we'll see you guys on the inside. Thanks, Sue.
Thanks, Russ.